Let's start our next discussion. Okay, so humans are not the only creatures with a sense of smell. Other creatures also have a sense of smell. Humans are not the only creatures who have a sense of smell. Okay, other creatures also have a sense of smell. We can find mates using all our senses. So humans are able to find mates. Humans are able to find mates through sight. Okay, through sight, touch, smell, and sound. Okay, so this is how sight, touch, smell, and sound. This is how humans find mates. This is how humans find mates. Okay, but insects cannot do this. But cannot do this because insects are not intelligent. Insects are not intelligent. That's why insects cannot do this. They are small in a crowded world. They live in a complex, crowded world, and they are very small in size. And they find those of the opposite sex, okay, of their own species by smell. So, all based on olfactory responses, okay, based on olfactory responses, they are able to identify their mate. See, this olfactory response, that is smell related response, smell related response. This is how insects find mates. This is how insects find mates. Okay. Most insects produce volatile compounds. Okay. That can be picked up by a potential mate in incredibly weak concentrations. So insects usually produce volatile compounds. Okay. Volatile compound means compounds which are readily converted to vapor. Compounds which are readily converted to vapor. Those are called as volatile compounds. Okay. So most insects produce volatile compounds that can be picked up by a potential mate. So that compound, volatile compound, they will produce, and after that the mate will sniff the volatile compound, and after sniffing the volatile compound, he will get sexually aroused. Okay, it will get sexually aroused after sniffing the volatile compound. So most insects produce volatile compounds that can be picked up by a potential mate. Okay, and it can be picked up by potential mate in incredibly weak concentrations. Okay, so it is the amount in which they produce this particular compound, the amount is very minute. Okay, amount is very less, very minute. Okay, so most insects produce volatile compounds that can be picked up by potential mate in incredibly weak concentrations. They produce it in incredibly weak concentrations. So here is an example that how weak these concentrations are. How weak these concentrations are. Here is one example. Only 1.5 milligram of serricornin. Okay. Only 1.5 milligram of serricornin. Now, what is the structure of serricornin? The structure of serricornin has been shown here. The structure of serricornin has been shown over here. Okay, only 1.5 milligram. Okay, what does it mean by 1.5 milligram? Milligram means 1,000th of a gram. 1,000th, 1,000th of a gram. 1,000th of a gram is called as milligram. Okay, so 1.5 milligram of serricornin. Okay, 1.5 milligram of serricornin, the sex pheromone of the cigarette beetle. Okay, pheromone, the sex pheromone of the cigarette beetle. Now, what is meant by pheromone? Okay, let me write it properly. Okay, pheromone, pheromone. Okay, pheromone are volatile substances. These are volatile substances which animals or insect produce. Okay, it might be produced by insects, and it might also be produced by other animals. Okay, and usually these are produced. These are produced. So uh, other uh, other uh, other individual of the same species, other individual of the same species is able to take the smell. He is able to recognize this smell. Okay, he is able to recognize this smell of this pheromone, Okay, so this is the thing, and it might be used for mating purpose. Okay, so pheromone might be released while mating, making the other mate sexually aroused. So for mating purpose it can be used. It can be used for marking territory. It can be used for marking territory also. Okay, so by marking the territory, these pheromone can also be used to mark the territory. Okay, in addition to mating, these pheromones can also be used for marking the territory, and sometimes they might also be used. Sometimes they might also be used for in danger cases. When there is some danger, then also this pheromone might be produced in danger situations. Okay, so this is the thing. Now how does a cigarette beetle look like? Okay, how does a cigarette beetle look like? So cigarette beetle looks something like this. Okay, cigarette beetle looks something like this. Okay, so only 1.5 milligram of serricornin, only 1.5 milligram of serricornin, the sex pheromone of the cigarette beetle. So serricornin, this is the sex pheromone of the cigarette beetle, and what cigarette beetle looks like I have already showed it to you. Okay, so only 1.5 milligram of serricornin can be isolated from 65,000. Okay, could be isolated from 65,000 female beetles. Okay, so 65,000 female beetles is a huge amount. Okay, if you isolate the serricornin from female beetles, 65,000 female beetles will give 65,000 female beetles will only give 1.5 milligram of serricornin. Okay, so there isn't much of it in each beetle. Okay, so each beetle doesn't have a huge amount of serricornin. Okay. Now, nevertheless, the slightest whiff of it causes the males to gather and attempt frenzied copulation. Even if they are present in such a small amount, even then the males are able to identify males of the same species, that is males of cigarette beetle. Females release this compound serricornin, but the male beetle is even able to recognize this its smell. The male beetle is able to recognize this smell even in very small amounts. Okay, so even the slightest whiff, what does it mean by whiff? Whiff means smell for short duration. Okay, smell for short duration. Okay, whiff for smell for short duration, and less intense. Okay, so less intense smell for short duration, that is called as whiff. That is what is the meaning of whiff. Okay, so the slightest whiff of it. Okay, so 1.5 milligram in 60,000 female beetles, so very less amount in each beetle. Even the slightest whiff of it causes the males of that species, that is cigarette beetle, to gather and attempt frenzied copulation. What is meant by frenzied? Frenzied means wild. Okay, frenzied. What does it mean by frenzied? Frenzied means wild. Okay, wild and out of control. Okay, frenzied means out of control. So they are aroused sexually. Very widely, even by very small amounts of serricornin released by female cigarette beetle. So males get frenzied for copulation. Okay. Similarly, the sex pheromone of the beetle Popilia japonica. Okay, the sex pheromone of the beetle Popilia japonica. And what is Popilia japonica? It is called as Japanese beetle. Popilia japonica Popilia japonica is called as Japanese beetle. Okay. So how does it look like? This is the photo of Japanese beetle. It looks like this. It looks like this, and its scientific name is Popilia japonica. Popilia japonica. Okay. Popilia japonica. So sex pheromone of beetle Popilia japonica, that is Japanese beetle. Okay. And it is also given off by the females only. Similar to cigarette beetles. This chemical is also given off by the females. Okay. And this compound has also been synthesized in the lab by chemists. So this is that japonilure. Okay. Japonilure. Japonilure. Okay. So this japonilure compound, it is given off by Japanese beetle, and it is the sex pheromone of Japanese beetle. Okay. It is the japonilure. Japonilure is the sex pheromone of the Japanese beetle. Japonilure is the sex pheromone of the Japanese beetle. Okay. And scientific name of Japanese beetle is Popilia japonica. Okay. Scientific name of Japanese beetle, binomial name of Japanese beetle is Popilia japonica. Similarly, cigarette beetles, Japanese name. Cigarette beetles, not Japanese name, binomial name. Okay. Cigarette beetles, binomial name. This is the binomial name of cigarette beetle. Lesioderma serricornin. Lesioderma serricornin is the binomial name, scientific name of cigarette beetle. Okay. Now, and this compound has been synthesized in lab also. This japonilure has been synthesized in lab also by the scientists. Okay, has been made by chemists, means chemists have produced this in lab as well. Okay, in lab as well this has been produced as little as 5 microgram. Okay, what does it mean by 5 microgram? 5 microgram. It simply means that 5 into 10 to the power minus 6 grams. 5 microgram means 5 into 10 to the power minus 6 grams. Okay. So as little as 5 micrograms, okay, was more effective than 4 virgin females and attracting the males. Okay. So even a minute amount, japonilure, okay, even a minute amount of japonilure, okay, when we took its 5 microgram, so its 5 microgram was more strong in attracting Japanese beetle males. Okay, more strong in attracting Japanese beetle males as compared to 4 Japanese beetle females. Okay, so the spelling of beetle has been written wrongly here. Okay, beetle is the spelling of beetle. Keep this thing in mind. Beetle. Okay, beetle. Okay. So japonilure, it's 5 microgram. Okay, it's 5 microgram. 5 into 10 to the power 6, 10 to the power minus 6 grams. Okay, so japonilure's 5 microgram was more strong in attracting Japanese beetle males as compared to 4 Japanese beetle females. Okay, so whatever attraction 4 Japanese female beetles will make, this 5 micrograms, such a minute amount is even more strong in attracting Japanese beetle males as compared to 4 Japanese beetle females. Okay, so this is the thing. So this was all about today's lecture. Okay, thank you very much.